We're here with Barney Bishop, and why don't you tell us what you're up to today?
Sure. Alex, we're here today to talk to members of the Florida congressional delegation about three issues. One is Obamacare, two is about oil drilling, and three is about card check. These are the issues that are resonating with the Florida business community. They're very concerned about it, and so we wanted to reach out to some different members of the delegation and make sure we understood where they might be on some of these issues, where they would be again not with us on those issues, and where they're solidly with us.
And what sort of things are you telling lawmakers regarding oil drilling, for example? You just had met with Senator Lemieux. What did you tell him?
Yeah. We told him that number one, we very much appreciated his opening the door to making sure that whatever drilling does happen in federal waters off of Florida's coast, that we start getting dollars. So we've been allowing companies to drill in the Destin Dome off the coast of Panhandle of Florida, and we're not getting our fair share of federal revenue sharing on that. And that means millions of dollars that Florida is losing for our state budget. So Senator Lemieux is very committed to making sure that that happens. Briefed him a little bit on where we're at on coastal drilling within state waters. So both of those issues were important to him, and obviously very important to AIF.
And he put a hold on some legislation that would open up some of that coastal drilling. What did you tell him about that?
Well, we told him we understood where he was coming from. It's not that much different of a position from Senator Nelson, but we believe that in these times we're talking about jobs, we're talking about national security, we're talking about access to God-given natural resources in the Gulf of Mexico, and that 59% of the people, according to the latest Mason-Dixon poll, are in favor of drilling in Florida's coastal waters. And so we would appreciate, and we're going to continue to work with him and with Senator Nelson to educate them that the vast majority of Floridians want to drill for oil.
Did he give you any indication at all, whether his stance on that, whether that could be persuaded to?
No, he didn't, but neither does Senator Nelson for that regard, and so it's continuing education process with them. You know, this really came about in August of 2005 when the Southern Political Reporter started talking about the fact that the rest of Congress was getting mad at the Florida congressional delegation because we were voting for drilling up in Alaska, but we weren't allowing drilling in Florida. And we hear all these stories that there's never any oil, there's never any natural gas, but there's been three huge discoveries of natural gas in the Gulf of Mexico. It is there, and the people of Florida see it as a national security issue. Why should we give our money to a bunch of people in the Middle East that are fighting and killing our boys when we could be accessing our natural resources right off the coast?
Who else do you plan to meet with on the issue?
We'll be meeting tomorrow. We met this morning with Representative Ron Klein. We're going to be meeting with Alan Boyd. I'll be meeting with Suzanne Cosmas and with Senator Nelson's staff.
Do you sense, I mean, certainly on the statewide level, there is a softening of that, what was a traditional no drilling stance. Do you sense that is happening here as well?
No, I don't. I think the Florida congressional delegation is pretty well entrenched in the positions that they've always been. But that's okay because Florida is precluded from getting any of the federal revenue sharing from it anyway, and so that would just be found money for us. So if we're not going to do anything in the federal waters, then we're going to move forward on state coastal drilling, and that we believe we can get through the Florida legislature.
Now, PolitiFact.com the other day gave you a false for claiming that there's no effect on tourism. I want to give you a chance to respond to that. And
I didn't see the story, so I'd love to be able to get a chance to see it. I'll have my staff show it to me. But here's the real proof of the pudding. I was in Santa Barbara this summer. I've got pictures of the beach at Santa Barbara full of tourists, full of people enjoying the sun, and right outside off the coast 8 miles are 3 permanent oil rigs. So the idea that people aren't going to go to the beach because they see oil rigs is in fact wrong. They are sunning themselves in Santa Barbara, and they're looking at oil rigs every weekend, and it's not stopping any people from going to the beach.
Right, but is it right to claim that there have been no effects on tourism? There's been some past issues, granted they were quite a while ago, that did have some measurable effects on it.
The only impact that happened was from a spill from a tanker, and that's got nothing to do with drilling. See, that's where environmentalists confuse people, because they're saying that there's going to be spills from drilling. There have been no spills from drilling in the United States. Now, there's one in Australia. We don't know all the facts yet, so until we do, then we'll be prepared to debate that. But with respect to Florida, the last place that had a drilling mishap was 1969, and guess where? Santa Barbara, California. Now, Santa Barbara, I think most people in Florida would agree with me that California is the most environmentally green state. And Santa Barbara is one of the most environmentally friendly cities in America. And yet just last fall, Santa Barbara City Council voted to allow drilling to happen again off their beaches. So the most conservative place in the country is allowing drilling again, even though they had a mishap 40 years ago. What happened in Tampa Bay was from a ship. And regardless of whether we allow drilling or not, ships are coming in and out of Florida every single solitary day. So those things are still going to happen. That's not a reason not to do drilling. It's a reason to be more careful about shipping of oil.
And just last question, the group that's the alliance that's formed has been criticized for not being more transparent. People will know who all the players are. Why isn't there more transparency on such a vital concern to your group?
Sure. It's a red herring issue. It's just like AIF. We don't reveal who our members are. We're a private organization. We don't have anything to hide. But then again, we've seen some of the things that radical environmentalists do, stalking. We even have some of the radical environmental groups burning up places and stuff. We don't need that kind of hassle. Look, these folks are Americans. I know that they like to infer that they're from Russia or China or someplace else. They're good old-fashioned Americans, and they believe in drilling, and there isn't any reason to expose them to any verbal abuse or any danger to their lives. We're going to keep talking about drilling because the majority of Floridians, 59%, are supporting drilling. It's only a very small minority. In fact, in our Mason-Dixon poll, Alex, only 7% of the people in Florida are always going to be opposed to drilling, even if we can convince them that it's environmentally safe. The other 93% we can convince. So it's only the 7% that we're fighting. It's not the 93% that are in favor of it if we can show them we can do it environmentally safe.
All right, Barney Bishop, thanks a lot.